Good morning. Today we're actually flushing our antifreeze, or our boiler antifreeze, in our Aqua-Hot. If you're interested in knowing how to do this, come along for the ride. We're also going to do a video shortly on the Aqua-Hot system. We've actually replaced a lot of parts in the system in the 2 years we've owned it. Motherboards, pumps, etc., all under warranty. But we're going to do a video just about kind of Aqua-Hot versus Aqua-Not and whether or not we think it's a good system or not for future folks who are looking to purchase an RV with or without this type of system. Before you get started with any project like this, make sure you go into your coach and turn off your Aqua-Hot. You want to turn off the electric, and you want to turn off the gas side or diesel side of the Aqua-Hot system. A lot of people also recommend flipping or getting rid of the 12 volt and the 110 breaker. If you go up into your AC circuits, you'll see hot water heater. You can flip that breaker off, and then in your 12 volt system you should see an Aqua-Hot fuse as well. There are both 12 volt and 120 going into the Aqua-Hot system, so you just turn those off just to make sure that the system's not error coding when you start to remove all the fluids. Our 2015 Integra Aspire came with an LP Aqua-Hot. The boiler antifreeze swap out instructions for the diesels are pretty much identical, so it's pretty simple. But to start with this cover, most of them have this cover on the front. There's 3 screws, 2 on the top. So you can see those screw holes there and 1 on the bottom. Just pull those off with a socket wrench, and the cover will just slide right out. Just take special care. See that little circle insert at the top? Make sure you don't mess up the rubber grommet there that manages the electrical inputs for the unit, and this will just come right off. This is your drain hose. It has I believe that's a 1/2 inch plumbing copper connector on the end of it for my model, and you can actually get an adapter that'll connect that to a garden hose if you want to extend it out. But I was able to just move the hose out from underneath my pumps over here, the circulator pumps, and get a straight shot down to a bin that I'm using to drain all the fluids. There's about, I'd say there's about 7 to 9 gallons of fluid that's coming out of our system at this point. Let's talk supplies. I've got this, which is Camco's Boiler Antifreeze. You cannot use winterization antifreeze in your Aqua-Hot system or your Hydro-Hot system. Boiler antifreeze is made by Camco, so it's confusing because they make the boiler antifreeze and they make the winterization antifreeze. Make sure you get boiler antifreeze. When you get the Camco product, like you see here, it comes in 1 gallon jugs. They also make a high concentration that comes in a small, like 1/2 gallon. I think these are just easier because you mix them 1-to-1 ratio. What that means is for every one of these gallons, you add a gallon of water. And for this project, we're using distilled water because it has no minerals or anything in it that could cause corrosion in the system. I haven't read specifically you need to use distilled water, but it's just a good practice. It's very inexpensive. You can pick it up at Rite Aid or CVS, about $1.40 a gallon. So why not go with the distilled? For pump, it's a Camco product as well. We'll send you links for all this stuff online. Essentially what happens here is the top is the output and the bottom is the input. So we put this into our 5-gallon bucket, which will have our pre-mixed solution 50/50 in it, and out the top here, which is just a garden hose, sorry I don't have a camera person today, that will go into the Aqua-Hot fill, which is typically located to the right or the left above the Aqua-Hot system. Alright, so we're all drained out, so it's time to start pumping in all the new stuff. We're going to pre-mix, as you're going to see here, into a 5-gallon clean bucket. And then we're going to pump into the system. Make sure you close the drain valve before you start pumping, or else it's going to come right back out. This is a bit of a time-consuming process. The Aqua-Hot system is gravity-fed, so as you pump in your fluid, you're going to start to hear bubbles coming out of the system, which is all the air at the bottom of the system floating up to the top and releasing itself. So what I typically do is I pump in about 1/2 gallon to the top, to the max fill line, and then I wait a little bit, usually about 30 seconds. You'll see it come down to below where it says cold, and then I fill it up again, rinse, repeat, and keep going. Just about 3 gallons of the way there, so it's continuing to drain and take the fluid, and we're going to keep on pumping. Fun. Once we get to the point where we think we're pretty much most of the way there, we've got a decent amount of fluid and we're not hearing as many air bubbles, we're going to go inside and turn on the heat. Before we do that, we're obviously going to have to turn on our breakers and all of our power, and then look for the low fluid cutoff light and make sure that it's not on, because the system will not operate if that light is on. Once that light is off, which means you've filled it with enough fluid for it to operate, then you can start turning on your heating zones, which will force more of the air out of the system as it fills up all of the different areas in your heating zone. So you're going to have to turn on all of your heating zones to purge all that air, and that's what we're going to do shortly. Before you fire up the system, make sure that you put the cover on. There is a safety switch on the front of most of the Aqua-Hot systems that will not allow the burner to fire up without the cover. So when you go to test the system, your two kind of main things is put the cover on and make sure that your low tank cutoff light is not on. That means you have too little fluid. Once those two things are done, you should be able to fire it up. Turn on all heat zones, as I said before, and keep an eye on that fluid level. And as it gets up to hot temperature, you're going to want it to kind of balance out right at where it says hot. Behind me, it's a gaggle of turkeys. Anything can happen in an RV, right? We're just about at 5 gallons and our low tank cutoff light has just turned off. So we're making some good progress. We're just going to wait for the air bubbles to kind of bring the fluid down a little bit, and then we'll turn on the heat and add, top off as necessary. We'll give you a final total of fluid for our bus. It's going to be different for every bus because it's based on how much piping you have and how big your bus is and how many radiators you have. So it's definitely not a exact science. If you do for some reason overfill this, when the fluid gets up to temperature, there is, on almost every system I've seen, a safety valve that will purge out any extra fluid out below the bus, just to get you to the exact right level. So better to be a little bit over than a little bit under to protect the system. Antifreeze is technically considered food grade or safe for human consumption, which I wouldn't do that ever. We're still going to take it to a local transfer station to dispose of it. I guess technically, because it's completely water soluble, you might be able to get away with not disposing it that way, but I'm not 100% sure. You got to look at all of your local laws and statutes. But just to be safe, if you take it to the dump, they'll probably either take it for free or charge you a very nominal fee. So that's what we're going to do. So that pretty much wraps us up. In the end, it did take the 6 gallons. As you can see here, we're hovering right between the cold and the hot. The system's up to temperature, and we didn't end up having any overflow at all. So it looks like we're all set. We're going to run the system for about half an hour with the heat on, just to make sure we've gotten out all those air bubbles, and that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, comments, or improvements on how to do this video, please make some comments in the section below. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe for future videos, and we appreciate all of your support.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
You can also subscribe to the blog directly on LivinLite.net, and you'll receive email updates of all of our posts.